Greetings, hello, welcome. Hopefully all of you are having a fantastic weekend so far. Welcome. I hope your Saturday has been good. Whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are, I hope it is a good one. We are going to get started today taking a look at our web programming that we've been doing. We have been working on our DevStreams schedule application. I think it's a fun one. And 6 months. Whoa, S&B. That's awesome. That's the full adolescent little dinosaur you got there. Very nice. And thank you very much for that Twitch Prime sub. And welcome everyone. We are gonna go ahead and continue on our web DevStreams project. So to give you a little refresher on what this is, if you are not aware, the DevStreams project is I'll call it a community project that we're trying to build, mainly because we're trying to benefit the wider community of developer streamers. There's the words, DevStreams, developer streamers, yeah. I can speak today. So, the goal of the application is to build a website. No, it has nothing to do with foobar something, or anything like that. What it has to do with is scheduling both dev streams that you want to run, so whether you want to schedule when you're going to be doing your devs live streams, or whether you want to just see what live streams are coming up. So that is the goal of this, and we want it to be a place for the community to be able to find information. So we're starting it out. Notice I did not call it DevStreams calendar or schedule. Basically, feature one is that. We'll probably want to have more features and information later, specifically so that viewers can find streams that they're interested in. So if streams are doing cool projects, we want to build a central hub for people that want to find developer content on the internet and communities to get involved in. So that's the big thing. We're trying to grow the community. We're trying to build something where, you know, people can find new stuff and we can get these ideas shared around. So that's the goal. So for now, here's what we're building. We have essentially a page where we can create channels. For now, I'm calling it my channels, even though we don't have it tied to my user. We don't have authentication. We'll build those later. It's really easy to add the foreign key. So that is the part there. And I see a bunch of people showing up in chat, so welcome everybody. Good to see you, S&B, Katrina, Chef, Rubik's, Greendolf. Welcome everyone. Glad to see you're all here. Let's see. Thanks for the idea. I'm assuming, Rubik's, you're talking about something that was in our Discord. If you don't know, there's actually a separate chat application where people are able to discuss outside of the stream. It's our Discord. I just linked that over there. So I believe that's what Rubik's is talking about. Let's see, Greendolf, first DevChatter stream I've been to in like 4 years. Well, we're glad you made it. We're glad you made it back, Greendolf. I'll give the problem some more. All right. Excellent. Welcome. And hey, Janisku, welcome. Glad to see everyone's here. So, step one, be able to create channels. Now, the reason I set it up this way is I figure some people might have more than one channel they're involved with. So, for example, obviously I have 2 accounts on Twitch. Now, mine are not both developer accounts. I have both Brandonius and I have DevChatter. I do Brandonius as, like, you know, that's personal me thing. So I do a lot of gaming stuff on there. But on DevChatter, that's where I do all my programming stuff. Now, that's not a case where you do 2 channels on this website. The case where you might do 2 channels on this website is, say, if I ran my own channel with DevChatter, and maybe I work for another company, and I might run their channel as well. So I might then just manage it still from my account, so I don't need 2, because really it's just updating schedule and information and that sort of thing. So for now, direct permission control, like ownership of a channel, is the goal here. Let's see, so we pick what time zone the channel is scheduled in, and let's see, then we have a URL, we have the name, and if we look at the schedule, we have this information. Now, I've got a couple of things to mention to all of you. I did a little bit of work on this without you, so some of you might know I missed a stream this week. I did not get to our Thursday stream. Actually, did I miss one stream or 2 streams this week? I think I might have missed 2 streams, which is not... Oh, yeah, so SNB, as SNB mentions, Mark Miller has a programming stream and a D&D stream. So that is a good case. So for now, we're focusing mainly on developers. If we expand, the site we're building to do more than just developers, which we clearly can. But right now, I want to focus on developers because I want to build up that developer community around it. The idea is that we want to get that going. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Katrina, I did a small thing. I'm going to show you all what I changed. So I did a couple of commits without all of you. I apologize about that. And I'm going to go with Oli as a guess on pronunciation of that name, but welcome. Thanks for that follow. Much appreciated. And if I ever butcher your name, let me know, and I will try to say it better next time. And I do try to shorten names to something just because I have to read them and say them a lot, and it's not like I'm typing it. Okay, so here we go. Here's what I did. I did like 2 things. I merged these, right? 4 days ago? 4 days ago's gotta be it, right? No. This isn't it. 20 hours ago. It's here. Did I not push this? Maybe I didn't push it. Hang on. Let me check. Commits on the master branch. Wrong project, Brendan. This one. Commits on the master branch. 4 days ago. Nope, that's too long ago. Okay, so let me push up this branch. I didn't let you guys see it. Sorry. I goofed. My bad. Alright, that ought to fix it. Now it's at least pushed up. So here is the events data branch that I created. It has 2 commits. Yes, slight derp. Very, very minimal derp there. Okay, so the first one, I found a bug in our code, and when I found that bug, I felt really derpy. So, and no one yelled at me about this. So clearly it was all of your fault. No, it was me. It was all me. So here's what we've got. When I was using Nota Time, we had the. Let me just show you. I'll show you the spot. Actually, let me do it in this one. Where is it? It's right here. Okay, so I had it queued up so we could take a look at it, so I could show you this one. So originally, what I did was, and I'll explain my thinking. We took the next local start date time. So essentially, what we did was we took the stream that you scheduled, and I'll show you that interface just so that we can see what we're looking at here. When you create one of these, did I? Oh, yes, I rebuilt the site. It's it's recompiling. Sorry, when I switched branches. Okay, when we schedule a stream, here's what we do. We pick what day the stream is going to happen on. Like, say we might choose Wednesday. We then choose the time. So maybe we say the stream goes from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., maybe. And that means 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. my time. Because we want someone scheduling stuff to enter data in their time so it makes sense. So we want to display their times at, like, this isn't the interface, but this is the stuff that the information that will be there. We want to tell the user which time zone these times are in that they're setting so that they know, okay, I don't need to adjust for UTC or anything like that. We want to be clear, this is your time. So I'm going to enter these things in. And then when I click this button, that's when we call the code we were just looking at. So what it does is we take the first value and the second value, so that's the start time and the end time, and we convert them to the next something. So that means, in this case, because we chose Wednesdays, we're going to take the next Wednesday and add the start time. So we're saying, find next Wednesday, go to 1 p.m. For the local time, and then go to that same Wednesday, go to 4 p.m. So that's what the next is. That means next Wednesday. This is next of that day. And so this gets me the values in local time. Now here's what my brain was thinking. When I thought of this, I thought, okay, I want to take this value and I want to convert it, let me show you, into UTC. So this is what we had before. I said, hey, take that local time, convert it to UTC, and then get the instant value. So in instant, just for explanation, the way that notatime stores thing, an instant is a specific time that exists in the timeline of existence, right? So it's a way of defining this exact moment. It's not about a time zone. It's not saying like 1 p.m. That is a way of determining an exact moment in time, not a zone. An unzoned thing. That's not really UTC. That's not really anything. It's just from a moment in history up to this point. Obviously, that's very similar to UTC because of that concept, but this can definitively give me the exact moment. Okay, so that's kind of what I was thinking. Now, here's my mistake. In UTC doesn't convert from a local time to a UTC time, and here's why. A local date time does not have a time zone on it. This is just a time, and it's local means it doesn't include time zone data. So local date time is an equivalent to using the date time value that's in the .NET framework. This is an informationless one. There's not extra information on this. It doesn't include the time zone. Hey Thomas, welcome. And so when I did this, what I did was I told it to add in UTC time zone and give me back a value that is not a local one, but is a full, like, date time. Exactly, Joe. All hail John Skeet for getting his nota time. So that was my goof. Instead, what I did was I told it to leniently put it into our time zone. And the reason we're doing leniently, and the funny thing is, when we were even planning this, I talked with John about it, and we established that yes, I could do it leniently because we're more predicting the probability of an event happening that day. We're not scheduling a specific event. And so that's why we're allowing the room for error. So we're going to leniently handle this instead of having the code try and figure out the correct one. So that was the plan there. So we're going to leniently choose that. And then when I convert to instant, the idea is that we end up with an exact moment in time. So that's kind of like getting UTC. So even if I were doing this, I didn't need to in UTC at first. I needed to put it in the time zone it's in. That's saying, hey, this local time, that local time is associated with this time zone. Now convert it to an exact point in the existence's timeline. And that's what this does. So that was my bug. We fixed it. It doesn't exist anymore. So you might be wondering, Brendan, how did you find that bug? Well, here's where you guys can actually yell at me, because I did the small amount of code without you, and I promised you that I would show you what I did so that you could see that. And Janisku's trying to troll our bot right now, so let's give it a real answer. So let's say New York. There we go. Schedule in New York is right there. So you can ask our bot for our schedule. It does also use Nota time to get those conversions, but it asks Google for the location so that it can guess based on a name. So that's actually using Google Maps to figure out where you're describing, and then it takes that, gets the time zone information associated with it, and does the conversion. So that's actually how that does that. And I should mention, all of our code is actually out on GitHub, so if you do want to see any of this, it is all out there on GitHub. Okay, so here's what I did. I did two things. You'll notice I added some new code, and for that I apologize. I added a new class that we're going to take a look at, and a new interface that we're also going to take a look at. I added a new view model class for displaying the data that we wanted, and then I also created a quick little API controller. So we'll start off taking a look at those, and it is right here. So inside of our core project, I added in an interface that, for lack of better naming for it, I called iStream session service. Rubik's with the 100 biddies. Yeah, it's a hey guys 100 biddies. So welcome everyone. And if there's new people in the chat, I first want to say welcome. Feel free to follow along with anything we're doing. You can actually find all this code out on GitHub. And feel free to ask questions, make suggestions, anything like that, and get involved in discussions in the chat. We have a lot of really smart, awesome people that are usually in our chat room. Our moderators are great and are really good at answering questions. We have a fantastic community here, so welcome. We would love for you to be a part of it. So, looking at this, I created this little interface. It has one job in life, and that is when you ask it for streams for a specific time zone and date, I want it to return back that information. So let's take a look at what it does. So I still need to extract some dependencies. I kind of just shoved this in here because I wanted to kind of get this working a little bit. So it takes in an application DB context through its constructor. So this gets passed in through our IOC container. Angus, I will explain that in a moment. Once I explain this code, I will explain what the point of the interface is. Okay. So the next thing down here, this is our get method, where we are going to convert from a time zone and a local date time. So here's the concept. When you navigate to this page, there's one thing that's going to happen, and that is that you are going to ask this page, hey, I want to know the schedule. Oh, I should clarify. This is for finding out this is for our viewers. So people that want to view a stream, this is the user scenario we're building. Imagine you're a user, you want to watch a stream, you want to see who's streaming on, say, Saturday, for example, your time. So what you need to do, in order for us to show you that information, we need to know what time zone you're in, so and what day you want to look at. So if you wanted to look at today's date, so, you know, January 12th, 2019, at least where I am in the world, and the time zone being, I'm in Eastern time in the United States, so America/new_York is actually my time zone ID, so that's the value that's going to get passed here, and I want to specify today's date, so that's what we're going to pass into this. I then want to return back a list of all streams that we have that are supposed to happen on that date within that time window. So we're going to choose what a day is based on this time zone you gave us, which means from this, we need to say what's the 24-hour period and look for all events within that. So I'll explain that code here in a second. Let me check out chat real fast. It's not only time that is a problem in development, dates can cause real issues too, specifically different date formats. Yes, exactly, S&B, because that one's on the United States. I don't know historically why we use month, day, year as our format. As a programmer, I'm a big fan of year, month, day, but that's because I also like the fact that those sort nicely. So programmers, year, month, day. Hey Crichton, welcome. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the stream. Okay, so I will explain this code, and so we can discuss how that is. There was a question in the chat about what an interface is and a namespace. So, quick explanation. Namespaces are how in programming we kind of group our code, our concepts, and what namespaces allow us to do not only is allow for discoverability by limiting how many options are available in things like our IntelliSense. So when I start typing here, whoops, I should probably start simpler. You'll see that it starts offering me suggestions that start with the letter A. If I had a namespace on here, I can get a more restrictive look. So if I type system dot, this filters down to only things that are in the system namespace. So if I did, say, system.threading, for example, now I see only the things that are in the system threading namespace. This also has a couple of other additional features, like, for example, channel exists both in our namespace, the devstreams core.model channel, but there's also system threading channel, system threading channels channel. In case you were wondering why I did system threading as my example, it's because I was planning on showing you channel. So that's the idea. So we can have two classes that have the same name as long as they're in separate namespaces, which means I don't have to worry about the fact that when Microsoft created the .NET Framework library with threading, that they already used the name channel. I'm still able to use it because that's over in their namespace, not in mine. And I have defined up in the top of the file which namespaces are in scope here. So which namespaces I want to have access to without fully qualifying. And so that's the concept of a namespace. It's super powerful. You'll find it in almost every programming language. In some form. The interface concept is this. If you've heard of an abstract class, it's very similar to that. The idea is we define just the public way that you interact with something. So in this case, we use an interface to define that we have objects that are going to have a get method that look like this. And then we can tell other things they want to implement this interface. So for example, my stream session service class implements that interface, which means someone else can depend on this simple thing and just say, hey, I just need a class that has this get method. As long as it's got that, I'm okay, I can use that class. And then the one we actually give it is this one. And that lets us do a couple of things. So it's a cool little trick. I am Ruck. What's my opinion on Blazor? I think it is an awesome thing. I am looking forward to when it stabilizes so we can actually use it in a real project. I don't want to use it in any of our long-term projects because it's changing too much right now. And I don't want us to have to spend a lot of time playing let's switch to the next version of Blazor repeatedly. We're not a Blazor channel, so I don't want to just be stuck just revving to the next version of Blazor every time. We might play with it at some point on the stream. I think it's a really cool idea. I think the tech is an awesome idea. WebAssembly is going to significantly make changes, even if it's not Blazor that is the one that ends up leading that forefront. I am glad people are pushing it, because if nothing else, the trials and efforts that Blazor puts in, at minimum, are going to help make other tech better. I love that they're experimenting in it. I want to see it succeed because I would love to be able to use Blazor in places, but we'll see where it goes. I think it's really good. Schedule is rigged. Year, month, day. I thought that was a year, month, day. No, chef. Year, month, day is a programming way of handling it. We're the ones that like year, month, day because we like it because it sorts that way. Computer people are like, yeah, if you do year, month, day, you get it. Like, it's programming. It's very clear. There's no, because no one uses year, day, month is one of the big things. Angus, Miguel, you're a web dev and tried to get yourself into C# and Java, but you can't get yourself into it. So are you usually doing the front-end stuff, JavaScript and the like? If you do want to learn about server-side things, take a look. ASP.NET Core specifically. ASP.NET Core and C# specifically, they're going to get you a very lightweight look at things. So I do really recommend that you take a look at that. They're going to be able to get you your web backends. That's what I would recommend you take a look at some point, because that's how you're going to get cool like data access and things like that. Now, obviously, there are other services you can attach to, so you don't necessarily need to build your own custom backend, but if you ever do want to do that, that is an approach I would recommend, only because it's lightweight, runs Linux, Mac, Windows, and is pretty easy to get into. So much easy. There's no big framework like you would have had to do in the past with the .NET world, where you would have actually had to install full version of Visual Studio. Now, I'm running Visual Studio here. You don't need this. You can actually do it all from VS Code, which is the lightweight editor there's a good chance you're using already. And you can literally do it all in here. So you can build your whole web application and run it out of VS Code only. So it's quite nice. You just install a pretty lightweight SDK and VS Code, and boom, you can make C# web applications. So very cool stuff. I do some learn to code streams, which are more designed for like really, really beginner programming. But I do want to do some web stuff as part of that. We're probably going to build web server backend stuff because I think that is going to be a good place to go. And yeah, as Katrina mentions, it's pretty quick to get into .NET Core and get it up and running. That's one of the nice things about it. It's easy to jump to. John, finally, thank you, and whew. I don't know what you mean, John, but either way, welcome. Glad you're here. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. The time zone. We are passing in America/New York as my example case. We're passing in a specific time, a date I want to look at. We said our date was going to be today's date, right? And we want to see what comes up, what sessions are happening today. So, the mic, welcome and thanks for that tier 1 sub. Greatly appreciated. Welcome to the DevChatter crew. We got hype appearing already in the chat. Everybody welcome our new Chatosaurus. Okay, and congrats on your egg and emotes. And W Mads, hello, greetings. Okay, so step 1, we take in this string, and we are going to grab time zone information out of our date time zone providers database. So this is actually given to us by Notatime. So we're able to take this, convert that string into a time zone object. Once we have that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take in that local date time that we received and convert this from a date time which mapped automatically. We could adjust our mapping so that we can handle the Notatime ones, but I didn't want to deal with that just yet. So I just convert straight from our date time to a local date time, to a local date in Notatime. You'll remember when I was describing the bug that we had in our other code that I fixed, that local means we don't include a time zone information on it. So it's the same thing as like a date object in .NET. It's not the same, but it's equivalent is probably a better word. So we take that object, I convert it, and I used a local date instead of a date time because I want to make sure that I've stripped the date information off of it, so I'm using just a date object. So this will lose any time that happened to come over because we just need the day. So next thing we do, I made a little helper method that will resolve a range for that day. So essentially I take in a day and the time zone that you want to use, and I want to get what's the range of that day. What are the hours from beginning to end of that day, like the actual time points, so that I can use that to find what I'm looking for. Okay, so at that point we have day start and day end. I then go ahead and just hit the database, and this is the part that I want to get out of here. Like, I don't want this here, but it's here for now just so we can make it work, because I have not decided yet what I want to do about data access. So for those of you that don't know, data access is a dependency that we need to deal with in some fashion. For now, I'm just directly accessing the EF data context right here, but I don't know how I feel about that because there's logic here, and I don't like having direct access to I don't like having the actual data access classes being used in the same places as any logic, and this is logic and this is just data access. So finding events within this time frame, this is the no logic aspect, right? That's just a pull back all the data in this table that fits within this value set, right? There's no logic to that. This is the logic. So that's the separation I want to do. That's the only challenge I have right there. Anyway, so here's how we find that date range. I'll show you that real fast. Step 1, we take that input value, that's our local date. We say at the start of the day in that zone. So basically we said this is our local day. We want to get the start time of the day, so the beginning moment, within that time zone, and then we're going to return that as an instant. Now remember we said that's an instant in time, so that is an instant within like universal, like, and I don't mean like UTC, like universal coordinated time, I mean like within existence, right? This is just a way of tracking any moment at any point in the timeline of the universe. This next one we do the same thing, except I say, hey, take the input, add a day, and say at the start of the next day. So we're going to say less than that one, and actually I should say greater than or equal to the day start. So, I think, right? Ends greater than or equal. No, we're going to say after that. Okay, so we're going to do it that way. Okay, so here's the concept. We pull back the start of the day and the end of the day, and then we can just say, hey, grab all the sessions where its end time is after the day starts. So if it was going over your midnight, so for example, if someone did a 2-hour stream that started at 11 p.m. at your night and went till 1 a.m., you want to see it on that day still because you might catch it that day. We need somewhere to display it, so if we're doing day at a time, you need to see it at the beginning of your day. We then say if the start time is before the day ends. So if they start at 11 p.m., you still want to see it for that day, regardless of how many hours they run. So it would still count on that day. So either way, we want to pull the data back for this. We can then worry about how we display it, because if we do like the standard calendar view, you might see, oh, it continues on through into the next day or something like that. But this is the data set we want to pull. I'm gonna guess Okino, or maybe it's just O and then W-Keen-O. Either way, hello, welcome, greetings. Glad you're here. If I totally butchered your name, I apologize about that. I butcher everyone's name. I try not to, but it happens. Okay, so that ought to pull the data we need. Let's give it a try. Nothing like trying out a code to see if it works. Okay, so we created a controller. All the controller does, I didn't show you the controller yet, but the controller is very simple. This is the controller. It is at the URL API/controller, and we have a getter that again just takes in that data set that I mentioned and accesses the service, passing in those values, and returns back our stream session objects. We're going to convert those into some denormalized data, which is hilariously relevant if you are in the in the DevChatter Discord, because someone was asking about normalization in a database. And what we do is we just take this and we denormalize it into a single view model object, so that we don't have to give the structure of, oh, there's a channel and a this. It's like, no, we just want to be like, we're going to display records. We just want to be able to show them. We don't need a complex model going down to the UI for this. We just need a simple approach. Gamer TCP servers. You can ask the question. I don't know what your question is, or necessarily whether I can answer it. But I, we'll see. Depends on how simple it is. I'm not like I'm a application programming person, so I might know the answer. Not huge on the underlying aspects of TCP anymore. It's been a while since I was in college and actually had to study networking at all. Dino's in an EVE Online Corp. So I have not played EVE Online in quite a few years either. Although I was a big fan of that game, which should surprise no one being a programmer. Programmers are some of the people that like EVE Online the best. Because it was basically like, hey, you can use your programming skills to do better at this game. And we're like, wait, what? Really? Oh, cool. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I said that this is at API/controller. So controller in this case actually means this first part of the name. So if you're new to MVC in ASP.NET, that basically means that, whoops, APO? No, API. And then I want to say events. So when I do this, it's gonna error, right? We're gonna get an error. You'll see in a second, because I didn't pass any parameters. And it's not designed to handle that correctly, and I'm not going to make it handle that correctly. You need, like, we could maybe give it some friendly error messages, but that's not priority one. Okay, so it tried to use this, it used null parameters. Okay, cool, great, that's fine. What I need to do is I now need to give it these values. So I can either change the way the structure of this works and allow it to map these correctly so it understands the concept that the first parameter is the time zone and the second parameter is the local date, but I'm not going to deal with that yet. I'm just going to say time zone ID equals new, America, /new_York. I happen to know that that's my time zone ID. So when I pass this in, we get back no data set. Now, why did we get back no data set? Well, that's because I did not pass our second parameter, which is local date time. So we're going to add in one more. We're going to say ampersand local date time equals, and remember, I'm a big fan of year, month, day. We talked about that. So year, 2019, and the month is 01, and the day is, what is this, the 12th? It's the 12th, at least where I am in the world. Okay, so this pulled back a record. So we have an event that is at that time. Before we move on, let's go ahead and do this and see if we're supposed to have one, like, say, this one. So if we look at the schedule, there is Saturday from 1 until 3 p.m. is what's listed as the standard stream time for today's stream in my time zone. Notice that this is my time zone. This data that comes back, because we want to be able to display this on the calendar, we're going to put it in UTC time and just let something along the lines of, what is it called? Wait, Moment.js. Moment. I was having trouble coming up with that name for a second there. We'll let something like Moment switch it into the person's time zone. Okay, so... Okay, so here we go. We have a record. It has an ID. We have that ID. We have a channel ID. We know it's channel 1. Channel name of DevChatter. We have the URI to it. And then we have the UTC start time and the UTC end time. Now, I said it starts at 1 p.m., which means UTC, since I had 5 hours to get to UTC, should be at a start time of 6 p.m. UTC. So this should be 18, and it is. And then this should be 2 hours more, and it is. It's at 20. So these values came back in UTC time, which is great. Alternately, we could have returned them in the time zone that was requested, but I just pulled them back in UTC instead of converting them to the time zone. Either way would work fine. It's just whether you want to do the conversion here or on the server. And I like sending things down in UTC time, and we can do the quick conversion here, but we can debate that, and if you guys have strong opinions the other way, we can go the other way. Okay, there is some Discord Eve developers links in scheduled streams online. Interesting, Chidisku. Do you like storing date times or date time offsets in the database? So... no underscores. I can go either way on that depending on the circumstance. For specifically logging, so I believe it, does date time offset go in as a date time 2 in the database? I'm trying to remember what most things will store it as, because you gotta remember date time offset is a C# one. What we're actually doing with our node time values is we are, so in C#, there's datetime and datetime offset. SQL Server actually supports now a datetime offset that's different from datetime 2. If so, that's cool. I didn't know they added that. I missed that one, apparently. Well, awesome. Either way, we're actually not storing it that way because we're storing our node time value, and hilariously, we're actually storing it as a number, as an actual number. So ours is actually a number, and it is the, I will show you. On a... it's in our web project still. I was having to think about that for a second. So we're actually just storing our instant ticks in the database. So that's actually what we're storing it as. So it is actually a node time instant that we're actually storing. So, yep. So that's actually what we're storing ours as, which again is going to be a perfect measure of it and works pretty well. What it does mean though is that we're going to be converting out of these things as we come out. So we're not going to be doing how to say this. we won't be writing a lot of SQL queries directly that are using like date times in them, which I actually consider to be a good thing, because I want to reduce the number of direct queries someone is writing where they're putting an actual date time value into a string. So, like, even parameterized, I want to kind of reduce that a little bit, because I'd rather we work with ORMs. So if we can avoid it, then this works nicely. Obviously, you could do that with, the timestamp, but hey, either way. So that should pull us back the data, and there we go. So it does. So clearly, we will need more data in order to actually make this more interesting, because again, we're at single record here, but works nicely. So now what we want to do is we want to either make it so that the front page, this home page, shows the schedule. Now maybe we guess on which time zone you're in and pull data immediately for a time zone and then let you pick in case we got it wrong. Or if you're logged in, obviously we might just know your time zone because you might have told us, and then we don't have to do a lookup for it. Either way, I kind of feel like the default scenario is like the standard, you show up to the site, you want to try to find streams, might be a common scenario, that or we can hide it in one page. So I think for now, let's put it in its own page, and we will add a link to it, and you can see it there. So we will make a calendar or a schedule or something like that. Yeah, I think that name will work. And since I think for now it's just going to be a root level page, let's just make it a root level page. So let's do add razor page, and our razor page is going to be called calendar, schedule, events. Calendar? That's a tough one. Naming things is still clearly one of the hardest things in programming. So that's what we're going to create. I'm going to call it calendar for now. We'll change it if we need to. It's not too hard to change. So Visual Studio is going to scaffold this page for us. It's going to give us a CSHTML razor page with a page model backend. If you haven't seen this, this is the basic structure right here, is that you get a page that just has an onGet by default. You can add an onPost or anything else like that that you want. This could be an onGet async or an onPost async, anything like that as well. And then back here, this is just an HTML page. Because this is set up with the calendar model, which by the way is the name of our page model, as its model, what that means is it's automatically going to connect these two things. And when a request to this page is made, it is going to automatically come over here and run the onGet of this. In addition, automatically in here, we are going to have access to that model object's properties. So if I add something here, say like a list of event view models, you'll never guess where I came up with this choice right here, that this might be like events like that, right? I know, totally crazy suggestion. Okay, so we might have that. I now have access to that property over here. And I could say model.events, and you'll see that I get full IntelliSense support to be able to get access to the events. So, hooray. Let's do this instead. For each bar event in, whoops, apparently copied the @ sign. Ooh, I can't call it event. Eee. Item it is. Yeah, I guess it's an item today, huh? this is not going to be the ending interface for this structure, hence why I'm just putting them in a list right now. Actually, I almost almost want to put it in a different structure for now, but we'll do this. So this is going to be a list item. Let me check chat. I saw a couple of people saying stuff. Yes, naming is hard. Thanks for telling it. Yeah, no, exactly. Naming is a difficult thing. I don't care how long you've been programming. You're going to write bad names. You're going to struggle to come up with names. No one should ever feel bad about that. S&B, Telerik DevCraft has a cool schedule calendar control. Is there an equivalent out there that is free? There are a couple of things like that, S&B, that do exist. I might be able to talk to our friends at Telerik, and if there is a pretty decent calendar schedule control, I might take a look at that and see if they can get us a license for it to be able to use here. So a lot of developer companies are pretty good about helping out both open source, non-project, community-driven stuff. In addition, because of the fact that then there's some visibility for it, and it might get them a sale, because someone might see that and be like, hey, Brendan, what calendar control did you use for that? Because I need one for work. And then their company goes and buys a license of Telerik DevCraft in order to be able to use it there too. So it actually works out really well for the community. So I really do like when companies do that kind of thing. So here's what I'm going to do. For now, since we're not actually setting this up more than like this, I just want to put in the basic information. So I'm just going to say this, and then I'm going to put this inside of parens, and I'm going to say item.utc start time to short dates to short time string, not date string. We're just going to do that for now. This is not how it's going to be in the long run. Let's hope it doesn't try to subtract these. I think if I use an @ sign, it'll know that those are separate concepts. So I don't want it to subtract the two time strings and come up with the middle one. So let's just do that. Okay, so now clearly this isn't going to work because I don't actually have the data for it. So first off, let's reload this. Oops. Add a new page. I definitely need a rebuild before I try that. Okay. We called it calendar. So when I go to calendar, it says, hey, null ref. Oh, cool. That was a null ref. Nice. I have two solutions for that. Solution number one is just to set it equal to an empty list before anything else, and then boom, no null ref. But then really, the events should actually go get that information and load it initially. But step one is let's fix the error, and then we'll do something more right. Because I also don't want this request to just be done on the get here, because I want this to be able to be a client-side request. So one of the things, and this is the way that ASP.NET Core and a lot of the way that Microsoft's web approach has been good for a little while, and I should clarify, I don't work for Microsoft, so no one pays me to say that Microsoft did this web stuff well. The thing I like about it is, as a developer, I was building a lot of web form stuff back in the day, and the way that they did MVC is they actually allowed it to run side by side with web forms. So when we had to start making those switches, I started just adding MVC stuff to web form sites, and then over time, through disciplined switching, we eventually converted full sites from being web form sites to being MVC sites, and essentially just got rid of our web forms. And it was a really nice, like, slow, over time, you know, might take you a year or two, but you get there kind of thing. As long as you're disciplined and make the changes, you can get there. And the same kind of concept applies in that we have Razor pages, but there are actually, in this case, some things that I think MVC is a better solution for. And so then Web API, which is the like MVC style API stuff that exists in there, yeah, so if you're using ASP.NET Core, you actually have access to both. So you'll notice I have Razor pages right here, and I have my controllers up here. So when I need to make requests for additional information or things like that, so concepts like that are cross-cutting concerns across my application, I use controllers for that. Or if I think there's going to be more than one place, now obviously I can collapse something into a partial view razor page approach, right? That does exist as well, but a lot of times I like the call an MVC controller for that because the concept doesn't have an associated page, so I'd rather have that as part of an MVC controller when possible. So in this case, it's a Web API controller, but concept still exists. So you'll notice Microsoft ASP.NET Core.MVC is actually where my controller is coming from. So totally cool stuff to be able to do that. Absolutely love it. And then I am going to need this over here, so I'm just going to gank that. So let's switch this over here. And yet, bring in the types. So inside of my calendar page model, I have the same dependency. And that is this service. So as that controller. And the reason I have this is that I don't want the page to make the initial web API call if I can avoid it. I might not be able to, and if I can't avoid it, I'll just deal with it. But the idea is that I want, when you load this page from the server, I want it to just come down with a set of data. I don't want it to have to make an extra request to be able to get the initial schedule. I want it to just be like, hey, you came here. I have a guess on where you're from. I'm going to load this up with actual data, guessed where you're from, and load it in here. And then if you want to change to a different one, you are welcome to do that. So that means on get, we need to say get, and then I need a time zone. Now, what time zone do I want to pull? So clearly I need to be getting your information to be able to do this. So we need to get it from somewhere, but for now, I am going to hard code in that. And then the next value that we need is the local time. And I'm going to create a date time for now that is, actually, we're just going to say today. Whatever today is on the server. Let's do UTC today. UTC now.date. Which I guess we don't need to do. Let me see what's going on in chat. Anything interesting? Crichton's checking the uptime. Interesting, didn't know you could use them. Oh, yeah, saw that. Web API in .NET Core is really good. Exactly, S&B. It's super, super nice that you can just get away with that. Okay. So this is going to get us back stream sessions. So that's going to be sessions. Now you'll notice it was really calling that a task. If I look at this var, that's a task of whatever. And that's because I need to await this. And now you might be saying, Brendan, you can't await that. This isn't async. Oh, don't you worry, it's about to be. Make this an async task. And let's see. So we have our onGet async task and events equals sessions. Oh, here's where I have to fix the thing. So I cheated before. And over here, I put this right here. Now, the reason I just hard-coded this in here is because I wanted to just make it work. It's now time that we make it right and we put this in the correct location. So our conversion from these model objects to the view model object, which that's essentially going from our normalized, 3-table structure where this actually came from, into a single denormalized object that represents the data nicely that we want to show on pages where you view it. Okay, so when we do that, I do this conversion. This needs to live somewhere else. So what we're going to do is this. We are going to jump on over to our view model. We're not going to put it on the view model itself. Which, just so you're aware, if we could ever get our record types in C#, this would be a record type object, and I would be thrilled by it. I've been waiting a long time to be able to get something like that. What I want to do is this. I want to go to... I said I didn't put that in somewhere. Weird. Did I have mappings for the other ones? Yeah, I made mappings for the other ones. In that case, I'm going to make a folder. We're gonna make an events folder, or maybe a calendar folder. There'll be an events folder for now. I'm gonna move that in. What did you just copy paste it in the folder and it created a new file for you? No, I hit Alt Insert to bring up a little quick menu here in ReSharper, and then I hit the F key to create a folder, and then I can just type in my name, and that's all I did there to create the folder. And then I did move the events view over there. If you were wondering how I got to it, I went to the view model page and I hit Alt Shift L, and that jumps you to where the folder is inside of Solution Explorer. So that's how I got there. I'm going to update the namespace now that I've moved this to a new folder to represent that that's now in the events folder. And then here's the change I want to make. I want to make a class of extensions that I'm going to call events mapping extensions inside of here. Now, the reason, so somebody might be wondering why I'm putting the extension methods in the same folder as the actual classes, why I'm not making like a separate extensions folder or something like that. And here's the reason why. If I were to put this in a .extensions namespace, when we access it somewhere else, say over here, I have to include, you'll notice, I actually already have this include. If I wanted to use the extension, and I had an extensions folder, we would then also have to have .extensions. And I want you to not have to find that. I want it immediately accessible, and so I've just made it available if you're dealing with that type anyway. So there's a case to be made either way, but that's why I like this approach, and I figured I'd mention it. Okay, so public static class. If you haven't seen extension methods, this is a way to sort of tack code onto an existing class if you don't want the code to really be on it, and it does not need to be there. Now, we might eventually put this in the class. That's the cool thing about extension methods. If you ever want to just put them on because you have control of the class, it's as easy as copy paste it on there, change the this property to an actual this reference, or just get rid of it entirely because it's redundant, and use it. So, okay, here's what we want to do. We need a public conversion to the event view model, oops, sorry. And we want to say, whoops, that's static. We want to call this to view model. What is it? Stream session? What did I convert from? Yeah, it is stream session. Okay. This stream session, yep, okay. And we'll call this source. When I do these little mappings, I a lot of times will use source as the name of that property. And part of the reason why is that if we end up, so a stream session, to be clear, just to explain what this model object is, we're doing scheduled recurring events. So that means that you stream, say, on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 2 p.m., 2 p.m., noon, and 1 p.m. That's the DevChatter schedule. Because you do that schedule consistently, we're just going to create events for you year out for those dates. Now, I want to be able to set it up so you can say certain ones are canceled, other things like that. We're going to have to figure that out eventually, but you might also do special events. So, for example, I've had some events where I streamed on a Friday and did something special. And when I do those are special event stream, and I should schedule that separately. It's not a recurring event, and that, I think, is going to end up being a different model in our database, and thus we're going to have probably a different model object and treat them differently in the system. So we're likely to have more than one mapping that goes to an event view model, where the event view model is what someone sees on the page. So I want to make sure that I'm clear to everyone that the way that you should be using view models and things like that in your system is that there are sometimes things you display that don't come from the same backing data. and you convert to how it gets displayed on the page, and that's how you use it. And it's got an associated ID and maybe type information, things like that, but it does not have to always be the same actual data. So there's not always a one-to-one mapping between a model object and the view model. Okay, so in this case, I want to say return new event view model object, which we are going to do this. And the reason I'm separating the return is so that if someone wants to debug this, they can easily just add the breakpoint and get in here and do this. So step 1, ID equals... wait, what am I doing? I wrote this code. It's right here. Did I call it source? Ooh, I called it X. What? Why did I call it X? Was it in something? You know what? I bet this was inside of a select before, and I extracted it out, and I didn't rename it because I was like, this is gonna move. So let's do a quick rename to source. There we go. Okay, so this goes by. Bye-bye. Okay, so there's a downside to this. I was using a method group in the last part, and I'm going to show you all that here in a second. So that's our view model. Again, I am going to do the separation of these lines, so it's easy to toss a breakpoint. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, it might actually store that variable. They might not optimize that, so I'm going to do this just in case for now, because I did forget. So this toView model is an extension method that exists and is available. However, the method grouping and that is accessed here. So in order to call this way, I was telling it the select you can use toView model. That only works if it's actually a member. I can't call an extension method this way. So what I have to do is this. I have to say x.toViewModel. So if that were just an available method right here that just converted to that accepted the parameter and converted, it'd be fine. Because this is an extension method, I can't get away with that anymore. It's not a helper here. I actually have to put this in here. I think I could get away with writing it as this. Let me check, actually. Can I do this? Yeah, okay, I can do it like this. So if I really want to use that syntax for it, I can do this, and I can use a method grouping. But I don't want to do that because I like the extension method. This makes it clear to everyone what's going on. I think having the class and type there and using the static method will confuse people, whereas the single method group we had before, I don't think would. Exactly, S&B. I like this lambda better also. I think this is clearer and easier for people to read, and they'll get, oh, okay, they're taking the sessions, they're doing a select to convert them to the view model object, and then calling toList on it, which is going to immediately resolve and put it inside of an array. And I think that is about the clearest we're going to make that. Nice and clear, and we got our code out of our controller, making this controller super lightweight and simple, so perfect. I have this weird thing about extensions, but yeah, they have their ups and downs. I assume I'm pretty sure I know what you mean, Joe. I'd love to hear your opinions on that, though, if you are willing to express them in the chat. Okay, so where was I? The change, we made that, we added that, so that should get us back our data there. So the events controller should still work. I'll confirm that in a moment, but I'm pretty confident in it. So this gets us our sessions, and I want to say events equals, whoa. Events equals sessions dot select x dot to view model and then toList. So there we go. We end up with that reasonable structure. So a quick conversion to that and a toList. I really wish that Microsoft would have gotten us a toList that let us do a select inside of the toList, because I would love to be able to do a to be able to essentially combine a select and a to list into one operation, because I feel like that's so common that sometimes you're like, no, I want this to immediately resolve. Like, I don't want this sitting around as like an IEnumerable. I want this resolved right now, and you can do that. Wish we'd gotten that. It would have been nice. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick build and then read chat. Let's see, no extension methods, no link. Oh, yeah, true, S&B, true. Without extension methods, we do not have the dot notation for link. Your main thing against extension methods is that if they exist in a separate library, you have to pull in that library just for the extension methods. Not a huge deal, but has been a headache. Oh, yeah, Joe, I totally agree. If your extension methods are separate from the objects they're dealing with, it's a big problem. In this approach, that's actually why I mentioned I put the extension methods literally next to the object that they're really dealing with, so that you don't even actually have to include a separate namespace for them. And at worst, I like it when it's, you know, like in the same spot and there's just like an extensions folder where you just say .extensions and boom, you have access to related extension methods. And usually I put them so I associate these with the model objects only because of the direction of dependencies, because the view model objects know about the models. The view models and the models don't know about each other, but the library that the view models are in know about the library that the models are in, but not the other way around, and that is significant. Okay, let's take a look at the calendar and see if it loads at all. Hey, there we go. So there it is, displaying in UTC time, pulling back the data that we expect it to. So if we were to adjust this, does next may not pull today, actually. Hang on one second, everyone. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I do always make sure that I check and make sure my text messages aren't anything like, hey, yeah, there's a problem, you know, being a parent and all, it's kind of important to at least, you know, be able to get notified if anything's going on ever. Okay, so where were we? We had that. This page loads here with data. We need to make this actually be able to choose which date you want to look at. So that's definitely a challenge we need to come up with. We need a calendar picker. So I kind of want to record some of that. So this show we do dev process stuff. View streams by date. We need to have the date picker. So this is the thing. As I want to be able to view a list of all streams scheduled for today. Oh, actually that says for today. Hilariously, that's basically done with this. Now what I want to be able to do is pick different days, and I want to be able to pick a time that's not me. So there's not mine, because right now all this is doing is showing mine, and actually that should be, if we're just showing mine, we could do now. But let's not do that. Okay, so we need a date picker. There's got to be a good one out there if I just Google, right? Date picker, jQuery UI. Does it have a reasonable date picker? What's its look like? That's not bad. JS date picker. That doesn't look bad either. Vue.js date picker. I think we're using Vue.js elsewhere. Someone has a Vue.js date picker. What date picker is it? Vue.js date picker. What? You don't actually show me what it looks like? Where's the demo? Was there not a demo button? I didn't see one. Demo? Demo! Haha! It was right there. I went past it. What is that? Transpiling modules. Sweet. Let's see. Default date picker. That seems reasonable. Yep, I'm going to want to bind it to a value, so we're probably going to use that one. Oh, that's funny. We can change the settings. I'm not really going to worry about that. So I'm not worried about the display of the date. I think people can find the date they want, and if we don't display it in the form they're expecting, I think they'll be okay with it for now, especially since we're, developers. So let's see what we can do on this page. Okay. That's so funny. On the calendar page. Where else are we doing this? Where can I steal our code? We are doing this on the pages channel create page. We referenced this somewhere. There it is. We did that. Okay. I'm not huge on the way that we set that up, actually, looking at that. I don't really want this to work this way. But I don't have a good way around it right now. So, yeah, I did do it over in Game Tracker. You're right, S&B. But I know we did it here, too. So, hence, I just grabbed that for now. So, I'm going to put this over here in our Vue.js folder. Whoops. Streams. Yeah, this is going to be a class. I love how it thinks this is going to be a class. It made a C# class with a JS extension because I used ReSharper to make this, and it was not exactly happy about what I just did there. Okay, so I need to create a new Vue object. So we're gonna do it like I did over here. So we're gonna let app equal new Vue, and I'm actually just gonna steal this for now. So we're not doing a full Vue application. This is not a SPA application. We're just doing a little bit of Vue on the page to deal with the binding on that page. And here's what we want to do. So instead of calling this app, I'm going to call this calendar. The element is going to be sure, cal. That looks great. Goodbye, streams thing. Over here, I need a div that I'm going to call cal. So we're just going to wrap this whole thing in a div. I can't type. Div id equals cal. For now, that's all it's going to be. We're going to put that there. Okay. So essentially what this means is when we create Vue, it's going can't use HTML5 date picker and just use the model binding from .NET Core. S&B, yeah, I could use the HTML5 date picker, but the reason for doing the Vue one is that I don't have to do a post back. We're going to be bound to that on the Vue side, and essentially what we're going to do is it'll make an individual request for the new data and rebind that way instead of doing a full page post back. So that's actually the reason we're using Vue.js for this and JavaScript in general, is because if we do the ASP.NET Core model binding, which we are using for the initial value, we will end up with a problem there, because we will have to reload everything, which we may not want to do. So it's nice to just reload the data. Okay, we don't need those. We do need selected time. Ooh, selected country, selected times. Oh, that's funny. We do want those actually. Well, that's hilarious. I hadn't thought about that. Okay, so watch the selected country. Grab the time zone information. So that's fetch time zones. Let's call this fetch events. That's going to be a function. And fetch events is going to take in a time zone, time zone ID, and a... No, it doesn't need to take in any of these. Technically, does it? Fetch time zone. Well, I'm gonna put them here. We might just pull them from the this values. Yeah, we are just gonna pull these from the this values. What am I smoking? I have no idea. So we're gonna use Axios get. I said this was an API events. And it was time zone ID equals, and then that's going to be $, curly brace, time zone ID, and ampersand, and then we're going to say, what was the other value? It is, brain, do your thing for a second, local date time. It is local date time on the controller, right? Confirming. Local date time, yep. Local date time equals local date. Okay. So now that's our get. Once we do that, we then get a then, which gives us our response, which we will call response. And our response is going to be right here. And in case we run into an error, we need an error handler. And I'm just going to have it logged to the console for now so that like we in development can see that. Obviously, if you could do something more with errors later if you like. Console.log and error.status text. Okay. So that'll do that. And our response, this is when we get our data back. So we need to have this data up here. So these are... so initially we have time zone options, which is an empty set there. I want to have what are we going to call these? Guess we could just call them events. Yeah, just events. So, I don't know why that jumped over there, but anyway. This dot events equals response.data, and we'll hope that we don't actually have to do any mapping of that. I'm not sure what the structure of that's going to be, but I think it's going to be about right. So we'll put the data right into events. Earl. which means now inside of calendar CSHTML, we need to do a new structure. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. Vue.js. Anything weird with rendering a list in Vue? No. Okay, cool. So this is so this li right now has these values in it that we bound initially from our data that came from the C# side, from the web side. But what we can do instead is this. We can say v-4. So for anyone that's familiar with the way that ASP.NET binding works, it does like ASP- whatever the thing is. And the way that Vue works is it does these v4, these v attributes. So v4 is one of them that basically says, hey, I want to do a for loop of this object. So the idea being that I want to say, if I want to repeat this list item, I can just say v4, so that's saying, hey, this item is going to be a for each loop on some data set, which I am going to bind to be, well, we called it item. Let's call it, I don't want to call it event, because that's going to get messy, but I guess I could. That would be funny, actually. We'll call it event item in events. Now, that gives me access to these objects where I could now bind using Vue. So, for example, actually now that I think about it, I could separately bind them down below and we could do that. But I'm going to do this instead. So instead of binding the C# objects, I'm going to do this. We're not going to bind in C# anymore. We're going to bind in the JavaScript for now. We're going to do this. So double curly braces, because hilariously that's what like every JavaScript framework does these days. They seem to love that. Channel name, and then over here we're gonna say event item dot. You know what? I just got rid of that value. What did we call it? Nope. Nope. Where is it? No, I want the view model. There you go. Channel name, UTC start time, and UTC end time. There we go. Event item dot UTC end time. Someone was probably saying in chat, an event. I like it. S&B, that's good. An event. I think we might switch to that. Can this rename this? No? Okay. I like that. That's a good one. An event. There we go. Alright. Tiny Shark, welcome. Thanks for following. Much appreciated. Okay, so we've got that. An event. Channel name. Whoops. Those are lowercase. I am almost certain that it automatically bound those to the lowercase values. Isn't there something like vbind like in AngularJS? Yes, so Anno, if we do want to do yeah, so we can do some basic binding of those values in that sense to a set of properties. If we want to go that route, the specifically for an for a spot like a list, though, there's not really anything to bind to. For lack of a better way of saying that. If that makes sense. So the v-for, we should be bound to it. We're one-way bound. We're not going the other way. I could be wrong on that one. I do not. I am not a Vue expert. So I use Vue for some things, but I would not describe myself as a Vue expert. Tiny Shark, can I help you? Maybe. You need an example for testing a servlet with JUnit. Short answer, no. I likely can't help you with that one. I have not used JUnit in quite a while. I am not primarily a Java developer, but my recommendation on that one is you can probably find some decent stuff on testing JUnit in Stack Overflow, and if you want lazy internet trying to see if you can get some help that way, you could try asking in Twitter for someone that maybe has an example that can show you that kind of thing. Or another great place is you can actually ask over in our Discord and see if there's anyone, any JUnit users that know of any good examples for learning how to do some testing with JUnit. So there's a lot of good resources out there on the internet, and can't guarantee that someone will help, but if someone does know where that is, they might be able to give you a hand with that. Okay, so so one thing I should also mention, we could, for example, set up a template that did this kind of a structure as well, where we saved these as some pieces and made this like a reusable component, essentially. So there is that as well. So let's see if this can bind. I am actually going to Google for something real fast. Vue.js. I believe, is it mount? I think it might be mount. Method on load. What is it? Methods before mount. Yeah, no. Mounted. Called after the instance has just been mounted, where L is replaced by the newly created. Called right before the mounting begins, the render function is about to be called for the first time. Before mounted might be the one that we want to do. Oops, yeah, I should be doing that on screen so you all can see this. So I'm looking at the event model in Vue. As I said, not a Vue expert, still learning it. Just it's kind of how it works. So I'm looking at the lifecycle hook so I can see which one I actually want to do. So mounted is so this is when the element has been replaced by the Vue element. Will also be one item. It's not guaranteed that all child components have also been mounted. If you want to wait until that, you can use next tick. Oh, okay. That's an interesting way. That's actually really good info. So in this case, I think I want to do a mounted function, where essentially what we're going to do is I want to say when we got to this page, when we get to this page, I want to immediately go and request the data. So let's do that. Let's go to our JavaScript, and inside of here, right after methods, I want to say mounted. Oops, and hang on, let me see what the... Actually, maybe I should check out the diagram. That might make it clearer. Hey Nate, thanks for the 6 months of Twitch Prime. Much appreciated. Hype, hype. And always like to see the hype emotes spammed in chat, whether we have a new sub or not. Let's see. Compile turn as a before mount. Create the VM, replace it with the L mounted, and then mount all of the individual stuff. The changes. Okay, so mounted is going to be a function. Does it have parameters? When we call those? Function details doesn't say so, okay. No parameters to mounted. Code that will run only after the entire view has been rendered. Yep, looks right. We don't need after the entire view, but pretty good. Okay, so on this one, we want to say we want to fetch events for the currently selected values. So let's try that. So, and that actually, I believe that has to be a this dot fetch events, and the currently selected values are going to be this dot selected time zone, and this dot selected date, I guess is what it's going to be. Since we didn't create that property yet. So selected date equals document dot get element by ID. Actually, selected date I feel like should maybe be like, you know, a get date or something, right? Oh, that's not what it's called. It's new date or something like that, right? The question is whether we want this to come from the server or not. Initialized by the server or set by the browser. What do you all think? Anybody have a strong opinion on that one? Oh, yeah, sorry, no problem, S&B. I was wondering if people have a strong opinion on whether or not we get the date as part of our as part of the JavaScript, or whether we pass that down from the server. And I'm not sure on that one. So. NSO, welcome. Thanks for following. Much appreciated. We're just going to go ahead and create in the JavaScript, I think, then. Is it, I actually can't remember. Is it capital or lowercase? I'm blanking. Hang on. Capital D, right? Capital D. Selected date equals new date. Why is that squiggling? Did I bork something? Oh, yes I did. Semicolon. Nope, I'm creating an object here. And urbanized spy, yes, you're correct. It is definitely capital. Why is it not like it though? Oh, right. Same reason I put the I put the semicolon at the end of the line and it equals it there. This is what happens when you pay attention to things that aren't the actual code. You derp the heck out of stuff. So there's a nice derp, and we will even derp on that one. So yeah, derp. Okay. So luckily we all derp. So there's selected date, time, selected country, selected time zone options. So I am going to default their time zone. I definitely want to do that. 2 out of the first value is. Selected date's going to be today. Let's say before we do the fetch events, time zone really needs to be the first selected one. We need to have one selected by default. So maybe I will start us off. I might default us to our current, to my time zone. That might be what I do. We'll just default to that, and anyone else can change the country and time zone. We're going to need to figure out a better way to do that. Jadisku, you build everything in C#. Yeah, if you do Blazor, you can avoid JavaScript these days. Derp of derps. And welcome. That's a big name. But Goncalos. Well, I see Santos in there. So welcome, Santos. Thanks for following. Much appreciated. NSO, can you get the time zone for the browser culture at all? I think I might be able to get a guess out of that SMB. That's why I was going to start with defaulting it, and then we can look at pulling it. Oh, good. So Santos works. Fantastic. And I really do appreciate when people let me know if I got a good version of a nickname for them that they're okay with, because it's hard to say stuff on stream. NSO, the quick answer for what we are working on. We are building a little community project here. We're making a website where dev streamers are going to be able to put their schedules, and viewers are going to be able to look on here to see who is likely going to be streaming at some point in the future. This is to promote developer streaming community and hopefully build this into something bigger than it is. So idea being that people could put their schedules on here, viewers can show up and be like, hey, I'm going to watch some streams here on, later today. Who's going to be streaming this afternoon? Who's going to be streaming tomorrow? Whatever thing, and find it that way. Also good for people who want to schedule things to be able to say, hey, when's a good time for me to run my streams regularly? Because I don't want to be overlapping with someone who has a similar audience. Exactly, Urbanized Spy. Wait, Urbanized Spy, are you saying my stream's not enough? No, I'm just teasing. Yeah, no, that's actually the whole point, is that I want people to be able to find new streamers. Whether that be me or other streamers, doesn't matter. I want to grow the community. I think it's awesome. Exactly, Joe. So our stream has, we're actually coming up to a year on DevChatter. We will be at 1 year streaming, coming up just in a few weeks. So, should be a good one. Smash Arbiter, welcome. Thanks for following. Much appreciated. And Lucient, I would gladly explain what Blazor is. Essentially, Blazor is leveraging WebAssembly. So WebAssembly is the how to explain this? It's sort of like an assembly language that runs in the browser natively. And so it's an assembly language in the same way that like intermediate language and bytecode are kind of like assembly languages, which, by the way, intermediate language is what your C# actually compiles into. It doesn't really compile into, you know, a traditional assembly binary. That's why that's why we have a runtime in the .NET world. So it's sort of like compile down to something as close to machine code as we can, and then run that. And Urbanized Spy, thanks for that follow, much appreciated. So the concept being that C# can be compiled into WebAssembly, and we can take the .NET Core runtime and put that in WebAssembly as well. And essentially, that's kind of like what Blazor is. It's sort of like we made it so .NET could run in the browser natively, kinda. Like you could basically compile your C# into WebAssembly and it can run in the browser. And that's sort of what Microsoft is doing, and I'm like, you guys are crazy, but cool. Like, that sounds fun. I think that's an awesome approach. Anytime you see these kinds of things, you're just like, someone, you know, came up with a really fun concept. I will point out, C# not the only language getting compiled into WebAssembly. They're doing that with other languages as well and trying to figure it out. So I do think that that's going to be a huge thing in the future of web development, and I'm really looking forward to it, because I think there are some amazing things that we can do. Because there are places where JavaScript shines, and there are places it doesn't. There are places where C# shines, and places it doesn't. So I'm looking forward to seeing what people can do with, like, you know, various types of programming on web browsers. I think it's going to be very fun. Ooh, geez. I'm going to guess... well, I'm going to guess Ernie Oak, but I probably just totally butchered that, and... Ernie, something like that. Welcome. Thanks for following. Much appreciated. If I totally butcher your name, let me know. And it doesn't matter if I've been butchering it for months. Feel free to be like, no, yeah, that was not how you say it. Try to get it better. And I will do a better shot. Just try to let me know, and I will see if I can say it in a way that's at least close enough that you feel good about it. Let's see. Sanabia, one of those two, I'm guessing. And again, I apologize if I butchered it. Hey, greetings, welcome. Glad you're here. Urbanized Spy, take care. I was glad you stopped by. Have a good rest of your day. And Lucian, yeah, no problem for the for the answer. I'm always glad to answer questions. Feel free to ask them in the chat, everyone. And there is actually, I will mention, if people do want to still chat with me and others outside of the stream, we actually do have a Discord that you can also join, which is a great place for discussing. Actually, our stream started off with someone thanking one of our moderators for answering a question over in our Discord. So, lots of good people over there. I'm going to go with Plop. Welcome, thanks for following, much appreciated. And Spots. Thanks, Spot Dogs. Much appreciated. I'm glad people are enjoying the stream. Feel free to get comfortable, ask questions. Let me know if you're wondering about things, and feel free to make suggestions. Like, in all seriousness. Everyone programs better with suggestions from other people. We all do better with help. Okay, so we should be mounting that at startup. That should get us the date. I need to add in selected country and selected time zone. So switch to Vim. Yeah, so that's not gonna happen. You forget. Yeah, you got that one. They actually have something for that on Twitch. It's the Kappa emote. You just toss one of those in there, and everybody knows that you were kidding. The sarcasm, practically. Sarcasm or trolling is usually what you use the Kappa for. Yep, no problem. Glad to help. So before becoming a programming streamer, I've actually been in the Twitch community for a long time. So this was an easier transition for me than a lot of the other dev streamers, because I was already doing this stuff. I was already on here, and so fun story. In 2015, I was planning on becoming a dev streamer. I was going to start up my dev stream, and I picked up all the DevChatter stuff, and then someone steered me away and said, "What? No, that's not going anywhere. You shouldn't do that." And I listened to him like an idiot. I wish I'd gotten started a long time ago. I really do love streaming. It's quite fun. I was going to steal some code before we actually extract a component for this. I need this to be a reusable piece, but for now I'm just going to copy pasta because I believe in make it work and then make it right. So step 1, copy paste. Step 2, extract. So I don't like extracting the duplication until the duplication actually exists, because sometimes it's not actually as close as you think it is. And the shared version is actually more of a pain than the other. So make decisions for good reasons. I was going to jump into the create.cshtml of channels. Whoops, not inside of data, inside of pages. Come on, Brendan. You know where this is. Oh man, see, J's always kill me. I want to thank you for showing up, and I'm gonna guess that it's a soft J and go with Mayora, maybe? And I apologize if I just butchered that, but welcome, thanks for following, much appreciated. J's are the toughest one for me to guess. I always get to one and I'm like, I don't know what country that's from, so maybe it's a... I just gotta take a guess. And if I do mess up your name, let me know and I'll try to... oh, close enough, good, awesome, thank you! As I said, I always get scared. And someone else, Evokes, welcome, thanks for following, much appreciated. Hey, Q, welcome. Well, I should say welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while, Q. Wait, I said that. Oh, there it is. Q, thanks for that Twitch Prime sub. Much appreciated. There must have been a gap there because it didn't report how many months it is, but I'm pretty sure you've been a sub before. Denmark, not much Danish about the name, though. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, new jobs for a lot of people. I've got a couple of potential projects that are like bigger than some of my mentoring ones possibly coming up. So if I do end up with a change, not going to stop streaming, but if I do have to shift the schedule around, I do apologize on that one to people in advance. We'll see what ends up happening with it. Hopefully it doesn't shift too much, but obviously there's some of that's outside of my control. So we'll do the best we can with it. Let's see. So that's time zone and country code that I am just gonna go ahead and gank right there. So this is the ganking, and we'll see what we do with this. I'm gonna go with Yvonne on that one. Welcome, thanks for following, much appreciated. So many new followers tonight. Yeah, really appreciate the love and support. So thank you all for following. I hope you're enjoying the stream. I don't know if we're linked to in a place that's non-standard, but if people let me know, I guess how you ended up finding the channel, I would not complain about it. I always like to know. Okay, so this. Do I want to bind these values for now? I potentially do in the long run, but I'm not going to yet. So let's remove those. Oh, actually, yeah. We're gonna bind the items, because we do need our list of countries by default. So let's go to the calendar CSHTML page, and I need to get the list of countries. How did I pull it here? We pulled it off of the time zone listing. So we're going to do that. I'm going to come over here on get time zones. And this is not doing data access. This is... that is actually an in-memory NuGet package that we're pulling that data from. So the cost to grab it a second time is minimal. So no big deal there. Sorry, just tuned in. Are you using Vue on a per page basis wherever you need more interactivity? REST is MVC with the Razor pages? Yes, that is exactly what I'm doing. Yep. Hey, Yvonne. Welcome. And as I said, if I butcher anybody's name, just let me know, and I will try to say it better. Because clearly, Yvonne could actually be an American that goes by Ivan, the ridiculous mispronunciation. But at which point, I would be mispronouncing the name by saying it the other way. But you never know, because it could be from anywhere. So welcome to the world where any name could be pronounced anyway, and you have no way of actually knowing what it is. So hopefully I don't butcher them, but welcome all the same. It's fun. People can laugh at the silly American that can't pronounce the names right. I do my best. Okay, so we did an initial set grabbing that session data. Actually, I removed the need for these for now. So let's yank that data for the moment. We're going to switch this back to a void, and we'll just do a basic get right there. Lemons, yeah, I think I got lemons right. Unless it was lemon, could have been lemon, and the S is silent. Lyman, yeah, there you go, yeah, exactly. I was explaining to the devs, you gotta make sure you use the kappa emote on those. Okay, so that's the page. It is gonna have one of those. It's gonna have some of that on it. We do not have a time zone to pick by default if we do this. You know what? We're gonna default it. We're gonna default it. It's gonna go to my values by default. Sorry, everyone. It's going to my values for now. And later on, we can try having the server guess where you are, and then use that, and then the client can even take a guess as well, potentially. I just want to make sure there's actually data in this set when we load it. Okay, so where are we going? So we're gonna have country code and time zone ID then. String country code equals US, and prop string, this is not, final versions of this, hype. Has Vue been good to use? That seems like a good use case for it. Working with Angular at the moment, with the entire front end made with it, reactive Vue seems more usable when you just need it for portions of your website. Q, yeah. So I actually do think that unused usings. Oh, that's well, sort of. It's this commented out code that we just put here. So if I get rid of the usings Q, then the commented out code isn't going to work. So that's why it's like that right now. But you are correct. Definitely don't want to keep it that way. So this string is not going to be that. It's going to be, whoops, prop, string, time zone ID, and it's going to be America / new _ York. There we go. So yeah, I do think that Vue and React are great use cases, especially if you just need the portional one. Angular doesn't seem to do as well. Commented out using, yeah. Thanks, Q. Yeah, appreciate it. Yes. It's not committed, so, and now you're gonna be like, non-committed code triggered. Okay. So there we go. Actually, that really was an unused using that should have gone away. See, you were totally right. I had one. But we will get rid of those because they come back in when we need them. Okay. So now we have that. Red squiggles are gone. Option, time zone options. Time zone options we have. That's the option. Option has a key, option value, text manager, selected time zone. Okay, I don't know if that's going to work. We're going to, we're just going to try it. We're just going to see how it blows up, because I have a feeling this is going to blow up right now. Rather than look, I was just looking around for it, and I'm like, you know what, let's run it. It's going to tell me where it is faster. See, an error. There we go. Let's take a look over here in view. We're going to pull up the console and take a look at it, which I will see that in a second. Let me see. I think it only affects compile time performance, not runtime. I don't know what Voight is talking about there. You're doing everything in one project, like you're not on the side that the project is consuming. So I do have the the web API and the web project are actually in the same project right now. Okay, yeah, Voight. Yeah, they shouldn't really be a problem, but they're clutter in the file, so I do get that. But I do actually have separate projects for some things, like I have the separate core library for the dependencies in there. We may at some point separate out the web API into a separate project, but it doesn't really need it yet because there is very little about each one. So I'm not terribly worried about it just yet. Yeah, exactly. Q's just talking about the clutter in the code. So, which I'm not too worried about it. Hey, I can hear my son back there. So. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Le Mans with the Twitch Prime sub, much appreciated. We need some hype in the chat there. We gotta have some more subs in the chat to spam out the hype emotes. No, SMB, I haven't had a cat. I think he was hanging out downstairs with it. On Saturdays, I don't have the cat as often because the cat's able to hang out with my wife and my son, so I'm less interesting then. But on weekdays, when I stream, I'm the most interesting one in the house, so the cat comes and hangs out with me. So that's just how it goes. Hey, Coated Beard, I didn't know you were here. Welcome. I was mostly thinking in terms if you wanted multiple clients for the API eventually, but then again, I have no idea what you're actually doing. Yeah, so if we did want multiple clients talking to the API, for now it can still talk to the web app, and it's not really a big deal. But you're right, we might want to have a separate web application if we do that. I do expect that we're going to want that eventually, because I do think that there's going to be a use case for having a panel actually displayed on Twitch, so that you can actually use this for your panel to be able to show your schedule on there, and do that as well. And oh, awesome! Glad you've been lurking around there, Coated Beard. Do you have any preference between Vue, React, Angular? I see you're using Vue now. Any reason you chose that over React or Angular? Yeah, Lamont, I wanted to try Vue. So that's why we're doing it on here. So I've done a little bit of React. We did a small amount just playing with it a little bit on stream. We did a little bit of Vue. Vue is the one currently that I find most interesting and think is the one I most want to use. And I've used Angular for like work projects before. They're all good. They all solve the problem. They solve the challenge that we as developers are trying to solve. So I think Vue, React, Angular, you're not really making a bad choice no matter what Aurelia too. You're not really making a bad choice no matter which route you go down. I think in some cases there's a more optimal route for your project, and that's the big thing. So it's a tough call. I don't think there's a right answer though. Okay, so it did not wire these up. We ended up with option value, things like that. So our binding didn't work. Our view binding didn't work on that value. So we're going to take a look at why that didn't happen, because it put in option value as our time zone. Country it got selected, but that should have come in from ASP4 country code. Yeah, see, so that came in from the C#. This didn't bind. Why? Time zone. Oh, these aren't inside of calendar. That's why it didn't bind. So essentially the root element of my view is, wait, what? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, S&B, that is rigged. The bot saw that you were playing and said, no, we can't let S&B win, so clearly the bot has to have some kind of a failure. Let me check and see if there's anything in the logs about that. No, it just says you guys are running the hangman command and then no errors. So I don't know what that is. I gotta go mess with that at some point. We gotta go investigate and bug fix on the bot at some point. I have just kind of been leaving it there. I'm gonna give it a restart and we'll see how it does. How many days required to learn Vue? That depends on how well you want to learn Vue. Is the short answer there. If you want to learn Vue really well, it's going to take you a long time because there's a lot to learn. But if you're not if you don't need to learn everything, you could pretty much learn enough to be dangerous and start working on things probably in a day. So, yeah, exactly. It's hard-coded to fail if S&B's in there. It's rigged. It's rigged. Wait, did I not? Oh, right. I tried to immediately restart it, and that doesn't work. So the bot actually takes like 30 seconds before it actually shuts down when you try to kill it. So yeah, so if you go and find like some courses information on Vue and just dig into it, you can learn it well enough to actually like use Vue a little bit pretty quickly. But if you're going to want to actually like master it and like use it, you're going to want to use it for a while. With all things, it's all a scale. So I as I said, I'm certainly no Vue expert. I'm not bad with Vue, I don't think. I can definitely solve some problems in Vue, but I'm clearly a Vue beginner. I know C# very, very well, inside and out. I know that language quite well. I don't know that expert's a really hard word because it's very, very strong. But I know C# very well. That is a language I know a lot about. Especially like the interior parts of it and what's going on, because I really like digging into that and learning about it because it's quite fun. Q also depends on what you already know. Yes, there you go. Yes, exactly. Proficient. Yeah, there you go, Joe. That's a good word. Yep, you can do what you need to do in a language. Okay. Whew! That's a lot of extra info. I forget. To local date string? Is that the one I want? That might be the one I want. Let's find out. Yeah, that's not necessarily bad, except you guys can notice what my date string is, and everybody in Europe's like, whoa, is that month, day, year? And it's like, well, yeah, that's what, welcome, that's the culture where I am. Get date? No. What is the thing? What's the date string do? Sorry. That's kind of clear. Alright, I need JavaScript date formatting. JavaScript date formats. Because I don't remember what they are. I assume they're almost identical to to the C# one. No, I want to go, no, other way. Other way. No, I want to go the other way. No. No. No, I'm not parsing. I mean, I know I can take the parts and just do it, but there's gotta be like a... I want, like, programmer version. Yeah, so I'm planning on using Moment as the way we actually display them. I was hoping for just, like, a little quick format. Sounds like date format. So seriously, not a way to just do that? I guess I can just year, month, day, like, get year, get month, get day, jam them together and send them to the server, and it can figure it out, but I don't want to do that. What is this? 2-string? For date, 2-string. Yeah. Can I? If I do this, can I format it though? JavaScript, date, 2-string format. Here's the one. I know. Yeah, I'm not in Central European Standard Time. Wait, why did it? Whoa! Oh yeah, because it chose a. Not Standard Time. That's Central European Summer Time. I derped that. CEST is summertime. Can this 2-string take any values? Nope. Doesn't take parameters, as far as I can tell. I was hoping to be able to customize the format of it and just be able to pass in a nice one that I could send up to the server. Because to date string is not the worst, but again, you're gonna get a lot of variance on it. So like, this is not bad, but I'm not sure, because I want to send it to C# nicely. And I want C# to understand it and not get confused. So I think I'm just going to take the pieces, separate them out. So I'm going to do, for now, I'm just going to say, whoops, get year. Whoops, as a method. And that's going to get me, that's hilarious. That's what it comes back as the year. 119, what? Get full year. There we go. So I want get full year. And it's this, and then $sign. Whoops. Get month, and $sign. Get date. And it's got to be date and not day, because I'm sure day is day of the week. This the standard 2-string. You think will work for that? Wait, what? What in the derp and derp did I do there? Is it literally trying to subtract these or something? 0 function get date. Oh, yeah. Oh my god, month is, yes. A get sane month? Like get month, but like JavaScript is stupid. What in the who, what? Yes, this is just more reason why I should have just switched a moment from the beginning. And earlier in the stream, I commented, I was like, yeah, I'm going to send down UTC values, and I'm just going to use moment, and that's going to be it. We're just going to use moment. And here I am not using month. Yeah, I know. When you get there and you're like, month is 0 based, and you're like, why is month 0 based, but like date isn't? Like, what? Why did you do that? You can use date.toJSON. It will use etc format. Ooh. Oh my god, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're the best. Oh man. Give that person a gold star. Cause that is glorious. Thank you. That solves all problems. Why did I need this? I needed this for a reason. Why did I need this? Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. Oh, actually, I wanted to do this. You know what? I'll stop passing that. Equals that. Const local date's getting passed in right there. Okay. Time zone ID, const time zone ID equals this dot selected time zone done. No more parameters to that method. It's going to access the related functions there. So when you mount, you fetch the events. Answer JavaScript. JavaScript, the solution to and cause of all developer problems. No, that's not true. JavaScript isn't that bad. I actually like JavaScript. It's a good language. It's kind of fun. It does some weird stuff. I feel as though documentation has suffered since Microsoft shifted focus to .NET Core, especially in the memory span unsafe things. If you look at what's going on in the CoreFX project, you see lots of comments about micro-optimization, and there's almost no public information on it except references to the core CLR project. Voight, yeah, that is definitely a legitimate thing. I think Microsoft has actually made a lot of progress on their documentation, and I do think that it is getting better in terms of like the content that exists for doing things in .NET Core. I think the new .NET docs are better than what we had before. That being said, you're right, there are some areas of the actual reference aspects of the docs where we still are missing quite a lot of information. So I definitely agree with you there. Some big things there. Okay, let's go ahead and see what this does when we run it. It popped up for a second with something. Oh, that's just the Vue.js clearing out that data and coming up with this. And local date times passing in that value. We now need to get the time zone ID, which we don't have yet. So what we're going to do is this. When we load, step 1 is going to be... How do we want to do this? Because the problem is these respond. Fetch time zones. So when it loads, I want to immediately fetch time zones based on that data. since we didn't load in with time zones. What, can I read key of undefined? Wait, what? What? Wait, hang on. First off, that should be /API. I butchered that. Second, it says undefined. What did it call? Clear that.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Okay. So when it makes those calls, it's fine. When I do this, country code undefined. So it's got an undefined country code, and that causes a problem because it comes back with no data. So first off, Axios, yeah, Joe, that is most definitely async. That's why we're doing the then on it. Mossinator, welcome, thanks for following, much appreciated. Welcome to DevChatter, and welcome everyone to DevChatter. I'm actually not sure what are our followers up to. We've gotten a bunch today. Are we up over 3,000 yet? No, we're not over 3,000 yet. We're at like 2789. That's quite a few followers. So welcome everyone. Glad you're enjoying the stream. I have a message. Oh, thanks. I like my channel too. Someone sent me a message, said they liked my channel, which I appreciate because I like my channel. So I'm glad people like it, and welcome. And just so we're clear, if anyone is interested in contributing to any of our projects, all the stuff we build is actually out on GitHub. You can find all the code over there. If you are interested, feel free to head over there, take a look at the code, or send pull requests or anything like that. And also, if you want to chat with me or any of the other people outside the stream, seriously, best way to do that, join our Discord. I just linked to it in chat. You can find links down below. And actually, all of these videos, I should mention, if you missed anything, beginning, middle, end, you missed a previous episode, you can actually find all of our videos here on the videos section on Twitch or over in our archive on YouTube. Links in the chat or down below. And if you are someone watching on a video, hello, person in the future, welcome. I hope that things are nice in the future. I don't know what they're going to be like. I don't know when you're watching this. Maybe it's a year, maybe it's a day, maybe it's 5 minutes from now, but either way, I hope the world is better than it is right now. Okay, so uncaught in the promise. We can't read the key of that because we passed in an undefined. Why did we pass in undefined on that? Country. We should have had a selected country. That was by default like that. That value should be there right off the bat. I thought we bound that on the C# side, didn't we? Country model is the selected country. Country code. Here's what we're gonna do. And this is x dot key equals country code. There we go. All right, I think I solved the problem. Let's find out. Did I get it? Did I get it? Did the error go away? It's recompiling, by the way, which should happen automatically when you do that. Oh, really? Really? You didn't get it? It seems to get the right one, but it's almost like the other code didn't run yet. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hop over into the view, and we're going to take a look. We're going to drop a breakpoint in there. JS view stream calendar. First off, I'm going to drop that there. So actually right here. So that'll be right after we've loaded the country value. And then the other spot I want to put this is right here before we fetch time zone, so I can catch any time it gets called. And then I want to toss one here on mounted, and also when we change. Okay, so let's take a look and see which breakpoint gets hit first. So first one is data. Good. This was my assumption. I assumed data would get hit first, which means that our selected country code is not defined. Interesting. Okay. There's our select. Selected, United States. That came back as undefined. Let me say fetch time zones. Country code is still undefined. Oh wait, fetch time zones. Passing in the country code. Right, that's why it's undefined. Okay. I see the problem. I called it wrong. Derp. Okay, let's remove all the breakpoints, because I don't need those anymore. We found the derp. We found the derp. Okay, so we go in here, and I wrote this with passing in the country code for that, but we don't actually need to do that. I am instead going to do this. Const country code equals this dot selected wait a minute. Okay, so selected country does exist. Okay. It's alright. I went a little nuts there for a minute. Const country code equals this dot that. Boom, there we go. Okay, now you no longer need to pass in the value, fetch time zones. So we don't even care what the value was. We're going to fetch either way. So down here, I should have just passed in that value, but I can also access it this way. Perhaps too early, but what are you going to use for authentication and authorization? Okay, so short answer is the first step is going to be that I'm going to use identity from ASP.NET Core. But yes, you're right, it is a little early for that one. So that's V1 plan. It is possible that I will just like maybe push it out to something like using Auth0 or something like that. To handle the authentication aspect and the authorization. I haven't decided yet. Clearly, we can just store this local database using ASP.NET Core Identity and use authorization for that, and it should work just fine. That will mean local users that we would have to deal with, which is kind of why I'm leaning towards the Auth0 part, so I don't have to do that. But at the same time, I do know that there are probably a decent number of people that do have to maintain local databases of users, and so there can be some value in seeing how we set that up. So it's a toss-up because there's both the value in this project to the community because there can be a place to get information about developer streamers, whether they're on Twitch, YouTube, wherever, including time information in the future, which Twitch and YouTube don't necessarily make as available for the recurring schedule style information. And I think there's a lot of value in that to the community. And I sort of have to balance that with making an application because I try to build things that I think people are going to be able to find value in and learn from. So that's the challenge there, is balancing those two is not always easy. Okay, so let's default it to my time zone also, because I thought I did, but apparently I didn't. Oh yeah, it just takes the first in the list, which for the United States is silly. So, well, maybe we won't choose US as our default one. We'll choose UK, and we won't have a default time zone set. So Let's just call this time zone. And this will be country. Country, time zone, wait, what? Doesn't contain a definition for time zone ID. True. Guess we're not using that right now then, are we? Okay, so, wait, did I not build? Maybe I didn't build. Should default me to UK, I think. Is it not UK? Ooh. What are you, UK? What's your code? Hang on. UK. GB. They are GB. You get the island, not the, you know. Yeah. No. You're right, Joe. They're GB in here. So there we go. Now it defaults to UK. So there we go. Good enough. Always funny when you're like, which one is this? I don't actually know. Okay. So that loads together. Then what we want to do is we want to watch time zone. So that's our next step. We want to watch time zone. So we're watching selected country. We want to watch selected time zone, and we want to have this as a function, and I'm going to have the value in the previous. And no, I don't have to write it as a function. I could do an arrow function for this. I don't know why I'm writing these as functions instead of arrow functions, but hey, I am. So congratulations, that's what we've got. This is going to be we don't want to fetch time zones, we want to fetch events. And we're going to fetch events whenever the selected time zone actually changes. But in addition to changing the time zone, we also want to adjust whenever they change the date picker, which we don't have the date picker yet. But that's fine. Whoops. Fetch events is not. Whoops. This dot fetch events. Okay, so there we go. So there's our first event. It is hard coded to using today's date right now, and UK as the time. So there is a stream coming back when we do that, so hooray. Yeah, well, congratulations, because the calendar repo is getting some more stuff. Set yourself a reminder, man. And this feel free to fix up my crappy JavaScript. Yeah, there's more to it. We are working on it right now. As I said, I'm a C# dev, so I'm gonna butcher a bunch of stuff. So my JavaScript's not the worst, but it's not like not great either. I don't pretend to be a JavaScript dev. We all have to dabble in it, kind of like how there's some people. It's like, yep, no, they're clearly better at JavaScript. Like their C#'s questionable, but yeah, no, we all excel in different areas. That's why teams are so good. You get teams of developers, people with great ideas in all places. It's quite nice. Love teams and collaboration. You always get the best stuff that way. So the last thing we need a date picker on here, which I'm just gonna kind of hack in a date picker box real fast, just so we have one. Why do I have a Oh, I'm on the wrong page. That's why, Brendan. You closed the wrong page. Don't close that page, Brendan. I would suggest using external auth, yeah, like auth0 or something like that. Yep, says community, but need to map with ASP.NET Core policy for enforcement rules and permissions. You're still doing it policy-based authorization. I love policy-based authorization. To be honest, it is much nicer than role-based. And yes, as I said, I do really want to do the external authorization for this, if only because of the fact that, like, at minimum, so no, we're not using it yet. I was just floating that as an idea. We have not. So yeah, that is possibly going to be the thing. We want to do something where. So basically what I was saying is I said this a little bit ago. I was debating between doing identity in ASP.NET Core, which would be the approach where we would get to see how you build that and how you build your own identity, which is fun as a learning thing. But to be honest, for this project, I think it's much better off using an external authorization system, if only that means like doing a third-party auth through, like, you know, a Twitter or something like that, or maybe we connect to the Twitch and the YouTube, and I should say Twitch and Gmail, because if we go that way, we could actually pull their channel information and actually bring their channel in, so you'd be authorizing the actual connection, and we could go that route. So that's one advantage of actually making those connections ourselves to their third-party services. But again, just thoughts on that one. Okay, so I wanted to add in a thing, which is we're just going to call this date for now. Date picker selected date. This is not a select. This is going to be an input for now. So it's going to be an input, and type equals date. So there should be our, roughly speaking, date picker control. We need selected date to be inside of our JavaScript. I can hear my small human wandering around again. He must be exploring the house, and I can hear him yelling "Dada," which I think means he can hear me. I think he's trying to join the stream. Oh, I already created selected date. Wow, go me. It's right here. Cool, I already did it. You know, I don't think it's a problem if he wants to join the stream. I don't think anybody'd care about a small human. They're used to a cat joining the stream anyway. Why didn't that set to today's date? I thought that was going to set to today's date. vModel date today. Selected date equals new date. Yes. Actually, my glasses are actually what allows me to see sharp. Yeah, that is actually one of my favorites. Selected date equals new date. That should set selected date equal to that value. When I take a look at this, do I need to set the value equal to that? Am I being weird? Hang on. Maybe I'm insane. But Vue.js input type date. Date. Yeah, isn't that what I'm doing? Did I do something weird? Did I not do this? Exactly this? Wait, string date. Wait, hang on. Wait. New date, string date. What is the difference between these? vmodel form date 2. Date 2 is the date in string format. That one binds immediately, the other one does not. That's crazy. I didn't know that. So apparently that's what we want to do, is adjust it to be those values, and then it should work. Okay, I can do that. So let's do that. So instead of new date, we're gonna say new date and then 2JSON at the end of it, and see what happens with that. Haha! Did I trick you? No, I didn't. Why did that? The specified value does not conform to the required year. Dang it. That sucks. Remember how we were trying to get date for specifically this date format? That's funny. JavaScript, Vue.js, that, I guess we could just use moment. We were planning on using moment anyway. So I guess moment it is. I guess we'll finally go grab it. Moment, JS, CDN. C# 8. I agree, Janiscu. I am looking forward to using C# 8. Oh man. Moment. Moment min. I will copy that to use in production. And I'm just going to include that directly on the page, I think. Development, exclude development. Here we go. Wait, am I not using Vue in product? Hang on.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Mark in South Georgia, welcome. Thanks for following, much appreciated. Anybody else that's in there and enjoying the stream at all, be sure to hit that follow button so you get notified when we go live. So here's what we're gonna do: script source equals that. There we go. Copy that one. Why, oh why did I do that? I'm still not sure why I did that. So, don't know. We're gonna pull those like that for now.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
And what was that? Hero ZXC, welcome. Thanks for following, much appreciated. Let's see how to format this way. Someone suggested moment. Import moment from moment. Yeah, there you go. wonder if I have to import it if it's included the way it is. I'm gonna try this. We'll see what happens. Okay, so that's not moment.js docs var moment requirement. That's not how we're gonna. We would import if we did anything. Meteor browser file TypeScript. Yep. Okay. First moments. So that's what we want. Except that we want to format it nicely. So straight formats. Nope. Wait, where's format? I want to go the other way. Don't create from it. Make it. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna say .format and pass in the values that we want. Where are they? Come on, guys. Any format. That looks like the format we want. Thank you. So fantastic. Do. Okay. Now, if we didn't bork anything, in theory, this will load. Hey, there we go. Moment.js. Now I can stop complaining that that's not the right one. Okay. So that'll get us that, and man, the default date picker here, this is terrible. Ugh, I have to pick that. It's just painful. And we definitely want to format that a little bit better. Why isn't that fetching when that changes? Is that not bound to that data? Let's find out. Let's look at the values here in this. Selected date. Okay, selected date is changing. Why aren't I seeing the method triggered? Did I not watch it? Oh, I didn't watch it. We didn't actually watch it. There we go. That explains it. Yeah, it helps if you actually do want. I was like, why isn't that triggering? That should be triggering. This dot fetch events. Okay, so we're just going to call those if you either change the date or the time. We're just going to refetch for now. And there should be an initial fetch then based on the data. Let's pick that. Did it fetch? I didn't see that. I wasn't watching here. What did it pass? Events, time zone, Europe, London, local, time equals. This returns nothing? Ooh. Something with that time string. So let's do this. Let's do this. So what we're going to do is... selected date is not going to be a string. So what we're going to do is we're going to say... instead of... I'm going to say moment... and then format like that. Reload this. Okay, we have values. Okay, so that's one starting at 18, so we should have a different value instead of 18 if we check Monday. Yep, now it's 19, starts an hour later, and if we check Thursday, it should start at 17. Starts at 17. Perfect. We got it. So that means that wired up correctly. It made the calls we expected it to. The initial load did one fire to events, and then as we changed those, it changed as well. So when I change to the United States, it should recall. It bombed once here because it changed before we had that value. So we should put a safety check on that it only calls it if we actually have a selected time, and if we have a selected time zone and selected time zone. So if actually, that should be in here. We should only fetch events if we actually have these. So only make that call if you really have those values, so that now when I do this and I change to the United States, one call gets made and it's correct, and it's that one, and it does it for Honolulu time, and then I come down in here and I pick New York, and it pulls in the time. So now what we have to do is we have to actually use those time zones and either use moment or use those time zones, display it to us in the time zone that we actually requested it in. So that will be what we do there. Either way, I'm going to commit this code. A couple of things I do want to mention. If you've been hanging out today, be sure to click the follow button so you get notified when we go live. I hope everyone has enjoyed the stream. Please be sure to check out our Discord. I really do recommend it for people. It is a good place to be able to chat about stuff. And if you are interested in contributing to the projects that we do here on the stream, which, by the way, there's the link to the GitHub. You can find these down below as well. Our Discord is a great place to chat with us if you have questions for me about how anything works, or if you want to chat with the other developers. If you want to figure out how to do a pull request, so if you haven't contributed to open source projects before, it's a good way to get started because you can ask questions. In addition to that, if you missed any of our episodes, you want to see any of the stuff in the past, you want to see how this started, you want to see any of our other projects, best way to do that is to check out our videos here on Twitch in the videos section, which will let you see the most recent videos, but you can also check out our full archive of all, 150 some videos that we've recorded of our live streams over on YouTube. We are actually coming up on our 1-year anniversary of DevChatter here pretty soon, hence how we can get to 150 some episodes, because that's quite a few. And additionally, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I've got links over there. I am at Brendonius in most places, including here on Twitch, but I stream my developer stuff under the name DevChatter, which I am on Twitch. I'm on Twitch and Twitter as DevChatter as well. Except on Twitter, someone actually has DevChatter, so I'm DevChatter_. So, which is a bummer, but either way, if you enjoyed the stream at all, please be sure to hit that follow button. And if you're watching somewhere else, whatever relevant buttons for stuff. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed a lot of the programming that we did. If you are new, welcome. Feel free to ask questions in future episodes. Our next episode is going to be on Monday, and it starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So whatever time it is in your time right now, subtract 2 hours, and that's roughly when we start on Mondays. So we stream 4 times a week here on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. You can find information about that down below. Fable, welcome, and have a good one. A couple of other things that I do want to mention. Let's see. I know there were things that I wanted to mention. Derp. Well, there's so as I said, there is an awesome community of developers here on Twitch. Feel free to check those people out. I was just looking; I didn't see anybody that is on my host raid list, so we're not going to be sending one of those out today. Although we do want to try and support the developer community. So if you want to get involved, there are a lot of ways, and I look forward to seeing you in our future streams. It should be a good one. So take care, everyone. I will see you on that one. Let me roll my credits real fast because I want to. Because I want to make sure that we thank everybody that was helping out today. It was a good one. So Rubik's with the cheers, the 100 biddies. And we had some moderators hanging out. I know I saw SNB, Katrina, and Greendolf were in here at least, and maybe some others. We had a bunch of new people follow, so welcome, wonderful people who followed us today. Hopefully you are able to attend future streams, enjoy them, and feel free to chat, make suggestions, ask questions, etc. And I want to thank our subscribers and resubs, SNB, Mike, Nate, Q, and Lemons. So thank you everybody who subscribed today. Really looking forward to all the DevChatter hype in chat. For anyone that is new, most of the stuff we do here is C#, JavaScript. We do web dev, we do game dev. We do all kinds of interesting things. We want to keep it exciting and fun, and do things that you all are interested in. So feel free to make suggestions, ideas, contribute to projects, even if it's just, you know, making notes of things or letting us know about what you'd be interested in. So I'm scheduling new stuff, and we'll talk to you all next time. And hey, there's a baby behind me. So bye everyone, happy coding, have a good one.